Hi everybody, it's Gia. Welcome to my channel, or if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. I'm coming to you today from my bedroom floor because my tripod broke. So until I get a new one or fix this one, I'm on my bedroom floor and we're going to have a little chat today. Today's video, I would like to talk about my life story with money. My video Ambition is Overrated that I uploaded a couple of months ago ended up sort of blowing up unexpectedly. So I think at the time of filming it's over 300,000 views, and I'm very grateful that it has done so well and it's created so much traction for my channel. It's absolutely a wonderful blessing. But in that video, although the majority of the responses and the comments were overwhelmingly positive, there's quite a few people as well who've kind of said stuff like, I don't really know what I'm talking about, in that I don't understand poverty, or I come from a rich family, or somebody's funding my lifestyle, and none of that is actually true. I just like to debunk some of the things that are being said and the assumptions made about me and my lifestyle, and I'd also like to tell you about my history and my life story with money and finance. So yeah, I'd like to talk to you today about how I live my life and how I'm able to live the way that I do on a low income while still saving money and having a frugal, happy, healthy life. People want to make it more complicated than it actually is, and it just isn't. It's not complicated at all. It's just practical, common sense things that allows me to live the lifestyle that I live. So, where to start? Let's go right back to the beginning. So, I did not come from a rich family. My family is, I would say, still under the poverty line by choice. So that's a very strange one. I come from a very religious Christian family. So my dad was a musician and he was kind of just doing gig work. And my mum was a homemaker, so she wasn't getting money coming in. So what ended up happening was my family was very involved in the church. And that church had a philosophy of, give to your congregation and support them and help them out. So my family was basically surviving below the poverty line, week in, week out. I knew something wasn't quite right, even at a very young age. My parents weren't working a 9 to 5 or anything like that until I hit my teenage years. So pretty much the majority of my childhood, my parents were getting a small donation from the church every week or so, but it was it was a minuscule amount, and my dad was just doing some gig work on weekends. So it really was, I would say back in the 90s, we were probably considered lower middle class. But I would say we were closer to lower class. So my family's always been a creative sort of family, so they were never really big into the philosophy of hard work, or they've just never been money oriented people at all, at all. So from a very young age, my pocket money per week was 50 cents. And I remember having this mindset of, I need to save this money at 5 years old. I was a little kid, but for some reason in my head, I was like, okay, I don't really like this situation. We never went without food or anything like that. My parents always provided, but it was so close every single week. I remember having a scarcity mindset at quite a young age and kind of thinking, I knew I was safe, but I didn't feel secure. I was just like, well, for some reason my parents are deciding not to work, and, they've had me and my sister and we're just little kids at this point. And for some reason, there was something that triggered in my brain of, I need to save this money because my parents aren't providing. It was almost like a security protection thing at a young age of I can't trust these people to provide for me and my sister, because for some reason, I don't know, it was just this very internal feeling of, I never want to be in this situation. I'd say we were just kind of around the poverty line, just above the poverty line. We didn't really know because we did have our needs met, but it was always, cheap meals, secondhand clothes. We hardly ever got anything new. We wouldn't really go get takeaway. Occasionally we'd get some chips, not fish and chips, just some chips to feed the family, and that was a special treat. So we were we would occasionally get some treats every now and again, but it was not the norm. I don't really remember. We wouldn't have dessert after dinners. I remember our special treat was half a glass of juice. We couldn't, this was once a day. So half a glass of juice at night time with dinner, And yeah, that was our treat. We were not allowed to have juice any other time in the day, and only half a glass of juice. So we were always kind of living on rations and all these things. And in my head, I'm just like, I don't really understand why they're not bringing in more money. They're capable of doing it. They're just choosing not to, and they're dedicating their life to the church. So from anyone who's grown up from a very religious background, I'd say almost cult-like. It was very, you serve your community, they look after and provide for you. As an adult now, I kind of look at that and kind of go, they really inconvenienced quite a few peers around them who may have been looking in at our family and going, crap, these two adults have these two children under 5 and they're not really getting much of an income coming in. We'll, give them money and stuff. Like, I remember family, like rich family friends, giving my parents free cars. Like, I remember distinctly 3 separate free cars that God apparently said to these people to give to my family. So we had a lot of stuff like that happen, but and you could say that might be divine intervention or something, but as an adult now, I look at that and go, these parents are kind of negligent, perhaps, and I don't know. It could have been, it could not have been. I'm still, going through my own journey with that. So the philosophy of my family was always God provides for our family. And I was kind of, I was like, yeah, okay, I just accepted it. But at the same time, my grandparents on my dad's side were very business oriented. So my granddad ran a music shop and he passed that on to my uncle, and so that's kind of like the family business. But that business sense was always something that I was interested in that whole, the money side of things. My grandpa was, big into making money and, and for some reason it just skipped my parents and landed on me. There was this sense of this scarcity mindset where I didn't want to be in that position. I didn't want to feel unsafe financially. So as I got older, and I was saving my 50 cents, it was the option of you ask a kid, I'm like, do you want an ice cream? Do you want to buy an ice cream for however much, or do you want to just save this money? 9 times out of 10, I was saving my 50 cents pocket money a week and just keeping it in my little piggy bank. It was just this something in my brain that just kind of clicked, and I was like, I'm going to need this at some point. Please excuse the location shift again. My neighbour's just decided to go take her washing in, and she was just kind of looking at me strange. So I'm here now. The scarcity mindset was always prevalent and prominent in my childhood, and as I got older, I kind of held on to that. Which, having a scarcity mindset isn't necessarily the most productive way to live life, but it is also a way to feel financially secure, particularly if you don't know where that money is going to come from. I remember having conversations with my grandma, who was around in the Great Depression and stuff, and I love hearing her stories, I still do, about how she kind of made do, and, the kind of life it was like back then, and how she saved money and, cut costs and stuff. So that's always been something that's been of an interest to me because, I love the idea of being self-sufficient as much as possible. And I always did. I always had that in my head of I just want to be self-sufficient and self-reliant and not rely so much on other people. So, that mindset has always been with me and it will probably always be with me. But the work ethic thing was never really instilled in me. So as I hit adolescence and, my parents were like, well, you need to go start working and stuff. I was kind of looking at them and going, but you guys don't work and you've never had a full-time job the entire time I've been on this earth. So it was this very hypocritical thing that they were then expecting, and I was kind of going, well, why do I need to do it? I was so defiant. Why do I need to do it if you guys aren't doing it? So then out of, I guess, role modelship, they started working full-time. They've never been money motivated. I always have been. I like the security of having money there. I don't need to stress as much. It's just I like having a buffer. If I don't have a buffer, I get uncomfortable and I get anxious. So for me, even from a super young age, that's always been very important. I believe it's totally possible to be low income and still be able to save money and live the life you want to live and not have to work more than you want to. Because unless you're doing meaningful work, it just sucks you dry. It's so depressing, and, this whole, grit your teeth and just get through it and it builds character and all that. Look, to some degree, maybe, I don't know. Depends on the generation, who you are as a person. But for me, doing a job and, making money doing something I don't enjoy is just draining, and I just kind of end up feeling like I'm in Groundhog Day over and over again, and it just makes me depressed. I also agree too much downtime can also make you depressed if you don't know how to fill your days properly. You find this with people who retire and then, you know, they're suddenly used to being on the clock for the past 50 years or so, and then suddenly they have to then stop, and then they freak out, and there's all this free time and they don't actually know how to fill their days because they're so used to their days being filled for them by other people telling them what to do. So there is a nice balance, I think, somewhere where you need to be able to do some sort of meaningful work, but not just sit around and just twiddle your thumbs. Like, I don't think that's helpful. Once I had that emergency buffer and I became financially stable, that was kind of a point for me where I kind of went, okay, I can relax now a bit, because I was always I had the scarcity mindset of, what if I go broke? What if I have no money? What am I going to do? What happens in an emergency? Like, I was very anxious about not having money, and that has always been there for me from like a very young age, because I didn't think, you know, my parents could support me because, you know, they didn't have money and they still don't really have money because they don't value it. For me, money is a means to freedom and security. To have money means you can then spend your days how you want to spend them, and there's enough of a buffer there that you know you're going to eat today, you know you can afford your housing, you know there's these options and these opportunities that present to you after you have that money saved and the money coming in. But if you want that freedom and you don't want to overwork for it, you need to know how to save the money, and you need to know how to be frugal with the money. If you're somebody who wants to live a maximalist life, then, you know, this probably is not the lifestyle for you, and you probably will have to keep working for a pretty long duration of your life if you want all these things. If you do want all those things, you know, that's your life, that's your story. I personally don't think you're going to find happiness doing it, but that's just me. Some people like their stuff, and that's fine. That's their life. This is my life. But, you know, if you want to be financially secure, you need to know how to save, you need to know how to invest, you need to know how to make your money work for you. If there's something you're good at and you can turn that into an income of some degree, even if it's like a smaller amount of income, like, that is still income coming in. And you can budget and, you know, save money doing, you know, what you enjoy doing. Like, I would much rather be making less money doing something I enjoy than making more money doing something that I hate. I worked to get to where I was, and I saved from a young age to get to where I was. It's, you know, the more disciplined approach to it, and it's not the most fun sometimes. You know, sometimes you just want to go out and spend more money and do, you know, X, Y, Z and all that. But in order to look after your future self and to be able to create that freedom and opportunity that presents itself later on, you need to be disciplined. If you want something bad enough, you will find a way to get it. So for me, financial freedom and security and just being able to have that option to take time off work and go after different creative pursuits, that to me was very, like, super important. That to me was more important than spending money and then having to work those hours to recoup that money. That to me was the trade-off. You do need to be disciplined, and you need to be able to give yourself a limit and a budget and stick to it. Because if you're not able to do that, you are going to be in that hamster wheel until retirement age, unfortunately. So you have to make the choice for yourself. If you want the security and the freedom that comes with frugality and saving and investing and, you know, limiting yourself. People don't like that. People don't like to limit themselves. People want the options. People want the nice things. Like, if you want that bad enough, you need to be prepared to make that sacrifice and to go off on your own path and things like that and not follow the crowd. Because, you know, the crowd can be doing something fun and all that, but the crowd's also going to be working until they're 65, 70. So, depending on what you want in your life, you need to make the sacrifices and have the discipline to be able to achieve that. So, while I am low income, I'm also able to save the money that I do have and invest that and compound it in interest and all this. So, over time, my money is working for me and I'm going to be okay financially. So, you need to have a mindset of looking after future you. Don't just be in the here and now. Don't just be like thinking of, you know, current you. You need to think long term. And lots of people don't like that. They want the instant, you know, that instant dopamine hit. They don't want the delayed gratification of, you know, compound interest in like 20, 30, 40 years. Like, that sounds so far off. So people will kind of go, well, you know, I'll deal with that when I get to that. But, you know, life doesn't work like that. And money doesn't work like that. So if you do want to be financially set, you need to get those things in place early on. So this lifestyle is achievable. You're not going to get super rich from doing this, and you're not going to be swimming in fabulous things all the time. Like, you're not this is not that lifestyle. So if that's the lifestyle you want, this is not the advice that, you know, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people who are happy with what they have, want to be able to have options throughout their day to day, and would like to be financially free while still remaining frugal. So for those people, that is the method for how this works. It's not going to be lavish, it's not going to be glamorous, but it is going to be secure, it's going to be stable, and you are going to have freedom, which to me is the most important thing, having the freedom to be able to choose how I spend my days. Being called lazy and not ambitious, I think it's just a guilt trip people try to use to kind of keep you in the game because they're depressed that they're stuck in there still, so they want to drag you down with them. Like, to just sit there and do nothing, yes, that's lazy and you're not getting anything from your life doing that. But to fill your days with things that you enjoy doing, that's not lazy. That's just fulfilling, you know, that's fulfilling something deep within you. And that is what is going to make you happy in the long run. Like, life is meant to be simple. It's not meant to be this overcomplicated, complex thing. My life story with money is not the one that's been assumed a lot of the time. I do not have rich parents. I rent this place. I do not own this place. So, you know, I've not got anybody financially supporting me. I support myself. The money coming in is money I make. I don't have anyone paying for my expenses, paying my bills. And at this stage in my life, this is where I'm happiest. You know, in the next couple of years, things might change. Who knows? But for the current stage in which I'm in, I'm very, very happy and content. And I love my lifestyle. So yeah, that's my take on that and my life story with money, and just responding to some of those assumptions about me and my lifestyle. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!